right now, thrilled to have here in the Rich Eisen Show studio with his new album that I'm holding up here, radio audience, called Braver Than We Are. It is Meatloaf here on the program. Good to see you, man.
Rich, it is unbelievable to see you. And congratulations on this show.
Thanks, Meatloaf. I appreciate that.
Man, I watch it whenever I can. I've never been so happy for anybody my whole life.
That's so nice of you to say. Thank you.
I mean you deserve it.
Thank you.
You were one of the best in the business. And it's like, wow, got his own show.
Meatloaf, I really appreciate that.
I'm jealous.
I'm thrilled to see you because I haven't seen you in years. You used to be a fixture, at least when I was covering it, at baseball all-star games every single year at Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and then I started constantly working.
Yeah.
I never stopped. I haven't stopped since 2007. There was one year I was home for 2 weeks.
That's it?
I did 2 movies and the rest tours, and I was home for 2 weeks in 1 year.
Right.
And it wasn't even Christmas.
Yeah. I love it, man. And, yeah, I mean, my last All-Star game covering at ESPN was the one where it was the tie in Milwaukee. That one, and then the year before.
Oh, that's where I was.
Yeah,
that's where we saw each other last. Then
saw you there too.
Because I played the softball game in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and you were kind of off camera asking me if I married the girlfriend that I had there.
Yeah, I said, "Did you marry the girlfriend?"
Yeah, we now have 3 children.
You do?
Yeah.
And I said to you, "She's hot."
Well, I'm pleased to say she still is.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meatloaf. I appreciate you saying all that. So here we are now on Fanatics Fan Day here on the Rich Eisen Show.
But I want to pick a bone with you.
Okay, yes, let's do that.
Let's do this. About your top 5.
My power rankings.
Your power rankings.
What do you have? I went Carolina 1.
You went Carolina 1, which is fine.
New England 2.
New England 2, good. And then you had Pittsburgh 3.
What's your problem with that?
I disagree with that.
Okay, who's 3 then?
I think Denver.
I guess, I go back and forth on what are the power rankings. Are they like right now, or is it for the long run? I'm going with the long run.
Yeah, so am I.
You think Trevor Siemian, with 2 home games, you've seen enough to think that they're better than Pittsburgh?
I think the Denver defense would eat Pittsburgh alive.
You know what? I mean, that defense is ferocious right now.
And they got, when their running back comes back with Pittsburgh.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. That's going to change a little bit, but I still think Von Miller and all those guys sitting in the middle with Denver, I think they got them.
When do they play? Brockman Law? What week does Denver play Pittsburgh? Or do they not? Because technically the Bengals won the division last year. Denver may not play Pittsburgh this year.
Because if they did, I'd make a $2 Canadian bet.
Doesn't look like they play this.
They don't play each other. So it'll be...
Well, they might do in the playoffs.
So Denver with Trevor... Here's my issue with Trevor Siemian eventually, is this too, and this is why Denver went away from Osweiler towards Peyton Manning last year, is you don't want a first-time quarterback in the playoffs. It usually goes very poorly for that. They've got really good coaches, and they will not overcomplicate it for him in the playoffs. They will keep that offense simple. And make it simple for him. And they got a good running back in Anderson, and they got good receivers. And I don't know. I just think Denver's better than Pittsburgh. Is Denver your team? I guess in general. Like
no,
if you had a
Cowboys is my team.
Cowboys are your team.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you're from the state of Texas?
I'm from Texas.
Okay.
I'm from Dallas, and I was at the first Cowboys game ever.
Come on now.
Yeah. Eddie LeBaron was quarterbacking. Eddie LeBaron was smaller than Doug Flutie. There's a great story about Eddie LeBaron taking his linemen, because quarterbacks take their linemen to dinner all the time. And they were talking about how to, the first waitress came, the guy goes, "I want my steak rare with blood on the plate." Next guy goes, "I want more blood on my plate than that." Next guy goes, "Just flip mine over," and goes around. Finally, it comes to Eddie LeBaron. Eddie LeBaron goes, "Just run the cow by and I'll grab a hunk off." And I don't know if it's a true story, but it's a great one.
Meatloaf here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what do you think of the current state of the Cowboys? With their 1-1, Dak Prescott seems to have a nice head on his shoulder.
You see, I haven't, you know what? I usually have so many fantasy teams.
How many did you have this year now?
None.
Come on now, Meatloaf. I thought for sure.
I've had as many as 56 before.
No, come on. In one season?
Yeah, and won 50 championships.
Come on.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you. And they invite me on USA Today or ESPN or some other thing, play baseball or fantasy football with celebrities, and I go, you don't want me. And they go, what do you mean? I said, you don't want me. And they go, why? I said, because I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, sure. I have never lost in any of those celebrity events. And they get really mad. I beat, for the Philadelphia Inquirer, I was playing all Major League baseball players.
Okay.
Except me. And I beat them by 22 games.
So what you're saying, Meatloaf,
Is that I'm really good at, I could be a GM in the NFL.
nobody wants a piece of you.
That's right.
Saying. Nobody wants a piece of you.
Anybody wants it? Come on.
Bring it.
Bring it.
But why not this year? Is it because you're so busy? Is that what's going on?
Listen, I've been so busy.
Well, that's great.
I'm sitting in a room in a hotel with the television not on. Didn't even know the season started.
Oh my word.
That's how crazy it's been.
Yeah, but you know about the power rankings enough right now. I mean, you know enough here.
This week, I went and I started looking back at last week.
Okay, now
and I started studying who's doing what.
You're
and
catching
who
up
were
to speed here.
Yeah, I caught up to speed. Now I wish I had a fantasy team.
Well, I mean, it's never too late. I mean, we could try and figure in. I mean, Brockman, should we include him in the Alice in Chains League? Was part of Fringe but Serviceable?
I already beat them.
Well, we need it because
they asked me to do it, and I a couple of years ago, and I said, "Well, my son-in-law Scott Ian's in that league."
Yes, he is.
Yeah, from Anthrax. If you didn't know, and I said, Scott calls me up and goes, "They want you to join the Alice in Chains League." I said, "No, they don't really." And Scott goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because they're all going to lose." And so they all started coming. Yeah, right. Well, I won.
Cantrell beat us in week 1. Who do we play this week? Do we play his son-in-law this week?
That's a great question. Let me look that
We might
up.
play him this week. So
He says he's got a good team.
How about this?
I don't know.
How about this? We exchange our information because we have to do that. And you are part of our team's called Fringe but Serviceable because that's what a scout called Tim Tebow when they saw him try out for baseball a couple weeks ago. That's the name of our fantasy team.
What did they call it?
Fringe but Serviceable is what they called Tebow. So that's the name of our team. I'd love to have.
Fringe but Serviceable.
How about I reach out to you every now and then say,
yeah.
You're part of this team now.
Can you give me one thing real quick before we talk about the record?
Sure.
What is it? Isaiah Cromwell?
Yeah, Crowell, yeah.
Corral. Who's he playing for?
He still plays for Cleveland. He had a big, huge run last
he had a
week.
huge game.
Right.
Now, is he the starter at Cleveland?
What is he? Split carries with Duke Johnson?
Pretty
correct?
much. He's been doing most of the damage.
Yeah. You like him? Did you pick him
Well,
up?
I don't know. He just all of a sudden popped on my radar.
He had a big week. Maybe that's why.
He had a pretty good week the week before, and two, if I'm not mistaken.
Fringe but serviceable. In a way.
Didn't he score a touchdown the week before?
Did he score?
He's got back-to-back
There you go.
weeks with touchdowns.
Look at you, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
he only caught up this week.
So pick it up. Should we go? For
If
it?
you've got a backup quarterback and you're sitting on your bench, they're useless unless you got two stars.
Who's our backup quarter? You didn't go for a backup quarterback.
I didn't get
right?
a backup quarterback.
There you go.
Yeah, see, that's smart. Anybody playing fantasy football
We
that
have
has a backup
Roethlisberger. We
quarterback
don't need
sitting
him.
on their bench, no.
Meatloaf,
Get rid of
fantasy
him.
football
And
smack talker. I love
Corwell
it.
is available. Pick him up. See, hang on to him for a couple of weeks.
So let's talk about your album here.
Okay.
Why do you do it? Why? I mean, you've done enough in your career.
Because I still have things to say. I'm an actor.
Yes.
And so I have to build these characters. I do lyrics like scripts, and I do backstories. None of these people that exist on these records are ever Meatloaf. You're talking to me. When I see you at the baseball game, you're talking to me.
Right.
But on that album, everybody on that album is 19 years old who's singing.
Fantastic.
I did it, and And it's like Bat Out of Hell. When Bat Out of Hell came out in October of 77, everybody hated it except for 10 people. And a guy named Scott Muni at WNEW in New York.
Remember him? Come on now.
Yeah. And he liked the record. So he was the only DJ in the country that would play it. And he would play it like a couple of songs
He
in a
was
4-hour period.
Meatloaf. That's his, hey, that was
and
his
then,
voice.
And a couple of other DJs in the EW, and then Kid Leo in Cleveland picked it up. But Bat Out of Hell lived in its own galaxy. This one lives in its own galaxy. And I said people are either going to love it or hate it. And but I will say this. It is the first album that we've ever got the majority of good reviews.
Hey.
Usually they hate everything I do. and magazines like Q Magazine gave it 4 out of 5. Another one 4 out of 5. We
That's
got
great,
5 out of
Meatloaf.
5
That's
here.
great.
And Entertainment Weekly even gave it a good review.
Oh, they don't. That's manhole covers thrown around.
Yeah, I mean, they even gave it a good review.
That's
so you
great.
figure that one out.
Braver than we are.
But the people don't. The people were expecting another Bat Out of Hell, and we purposely said, "What's the point in going down that road again? We don't want to go down that road. We want to go someplace else." So we did, and so Jim Steinman said to me, "Do stuff in your low voice. Your low voice is great." So people are freaking out because, like, I'm singing in the first song is mid-range, second song is really low, and they call it wobbly. And it's not wobbly, folks. It's called vibrato.
Attaboy.
Boy.
I like it, Meatloaf.
And
That's great.
so I have a doctor's prescription for it, which is buy it, listen to it once. By the end of the day, have 4 listens. You'll get it.
Okay. I want to take a quick break here, and I'm going to go over my week-to-week Player of the Week award and my week-to-week WEAK Player of the Week award, and I want your thoughts on that.
Okay,
That's coming
go
up.
for it.
And then when I come back, I want to ask you a question I've always wanted to ask you, never had the opportunity to do so.
Oh, you got to.
That's coming up in just 1 minute's time here with Meatloaf. Yeah, and you're on Fanatics Fan Day here with Meatloaf. Keep this going, Mike Del Tufo. If you love your team, a player, or your city, check out Fanatics.com. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Officially licensed everything. Fanatics. Love never loses. Meatloaf.
Yes,
Here's a
dude.
question I've always wanted to ask you. Keep
Okay.
it going, Mike. How do you ever get Phil Rizzuto to do what he did for Paradise by the Dashboard Lights?
Okay, great story.
Knowing that he is basically calling the play-by-play of somebody to trying to go
But
from
he
first to
knew
second to
that.
third base
He
to
knew
home.
That. I
He did?
called. Oh yeah, I've been on the air with him on the Yankees games 3 or 4 times, and he tried to deny it, and I just looked at him and said, "Stop it!" I called him a huckleberry.
Okay, you a
'Cause-
Huckleberry? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that's what he calls everybody else.
Sure.
So I went, "You huckleberry, you know better than that." So anyway, Art Shamsky, who was the right fielder for the Miracle Mets in '69,
Yes.
was his agent.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we met with Art, and then Phil came to the office. And we told Phil exactly what he was going to do and what the song was. And
What'd
we
he
told
say?
him about the whole album, and he asked the question, do people have to get high to listen to this record? And Jim Steinman looked at him and said, well, Phil, it's probably better if people don't get high when they listen to this record. And
Nice.
so we spent the entire summer picking his words. They're all his words
Yeah.
that he says in games. And so we put them together, got him in the studio. And he came in the studio and it started like this. There it is, a line shot up at the middle. Look at him go. Boy, that kid can fly. Oh, okay, Phil, hang on for a second. It's like a game. It's exciting. You got to get, when I wasn't exciting? Well, yeah, but you can be a little more exciting. Okay, there it is, a line shot. So we had pizza. So I took 4 pizza boxes, put them out in the studio. We turned on all the lights. I started running the pizza boxes like bases, and I would slide into one every once in a while. And all of a sudden, he got it, and he nailed it.
But he had no idea he was calling like
Oh yeah,
a
he
couple
did.
in a car?
Of course he did.
And he was fine with that.
Yeah. No.
Holy cow, Meatloaf.
Don't believe all those stories that he came up with. I called him out on it at least three times with him and
Fantastic.
Bobby Mercer on the air.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. Meatloaf is here again. Get his new album, Braver Than We Are. It's awesome. Check it out whenever you can.
Some people are loving it on the first listen. Others take my doctor prescription. Listen to it 4 times before you make your mind up.
Well, as you know, it's a week-to-week league in the National Football League. Certainly, being a longtime fantasy football player, Meatloaf. One week you're in the outhouse, then you're in the penthouse 1 week later.
But you got to know how to play fantasy football.
No, I understand that, and that's why we're going to have you on my. Okay. So what we do here each week is to sort of poke fun of the fact it's a week-to-week league. We take somebody that in 1 week, no bueno, or in this case, didn't even play. Next week, incredible. They become our week-to-week Player of the Week award winner. Then my mom, who's a retired kindergarten teacher, makes up an award, and we send it to the player. And out of respect to my mother, they have to hold up a picture of them having it.
Absolutely.
And this week's week-to-week Player of the Week award winner is none other than Sam Bradford, who last week was just the guy who had just come over from Philadelphia, and now he is in Minnesota. 2 touchdowns, no picks. He outplayed, everyone's saying, Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football. He is our week-to-week Player of the Week award winner for week 2, and you can't deny this, right, guys?
No, he did outplay Aaron Rodgers.
He did, right, on Sunday Night Football.
From clipboard to
I
week-to-week
can't
player of
believe
the
that they would bring the other quarterback back in as the starter when he's healed up.
And then the other side of it is the week-to-week Player of the Week. We have the drop for that for Meatloaf here?
Rejected!
He's weak.
Week to week, player of the
Weak.
Which is brought to you by Snickers this year because it's a week-to-week You're Not You Player of the Week, where 1 week you're great, next week you're not. Do you have music? Can you play some Meatloaf music for this one, please? No, Meatloaf. Don't go NFL Films. We got Meatloaf right here. Mike Del Tufo, put it here. Here's the week-to-week Player of the Week. You're Not You week-to-week Player of the Week. Nominees: Jameis Winston, 4 touchdowns 1 week, 4 interceptions the next. Not very good. 1 week, he was world beaters against Atlanta in Atlanta, and then Arizona brought him down to earth. Carlos Hyde went from a 2-touchdown game against the Rams to against Carolina, just 34 yards rushing. 0 anything else. And then week 1, A.J. Green made everybody think that Darrelle Revis should retire. And then in week 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers basically held him to just 2 catches. Those are your week-to-week Player of the Week, You're Not You nominees for week number 2. So people should go on our app and vote. And what do you got? What do you vote on this?
I can explain that.
Okay, Meatloaf.
You have to look at who Chris Hyde played against the week before.
Well, yeah, Hyde played against the Rams the week before. Okay.
So now then this week he played against Carolina, which has a great defense. So none of those players would have been on my fantasy team at all.
You would have sat them all.
I wouldn't even drafted them.
Okay. That's Meatloaf. Who would you guys vote for the week-to-week Player of the Week?
I think you got to go Jameis for week-to-week Player of the Week. After that week, I mean, strong performance week 1, and then inverse the numbers: 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. 4 interceptions.
Yeah, I'd have
1
to go with that one too.
Yeah, who was he? What was the defense?
And by the way, you know who goes against Carolina this week, and thus is a nominee already. I think in advance of the You're Not You week-to-week Player of the Week award for week 3 is probably Sam Bradford.
You know, I used to have my own ESPN fantasy show, and I would tell everybody right now, if you've got James Winston, sit him.
There you go. Meatloaf with the fantasy advice. When hunger throws you off your game, there's no more satisfying solution than a Snickers bar. It's packed with peanuts, creamy caramel, and chewy nougat. Did I say nougat the other day? You guys didn't. That's a New Yorker way to say it, I think.
Yeah, you say it any way you want.
Thank you, Meatloaf. All covered in rich milk chocolate. So grab a Snickers for a delicious treat that will satisfy your hunger and definitely get you back on your game. Snickers satisfies. So does Braver Than We Are. Go get it.
I'm telling you.
Thanks for coming on, Meatloaf.
Yeah, listen, let me just tell you, I've listened to this record more times than I've listened to every other record I've ever made cumulatively. I've heard this record about 60 times. I do not believe how great it is.
Excellent.
I think it's the best record I've ever made.
It's the 4th album of the over half a century-long career for Meatloaf. Thanks for coming on. Look forward to having you back,
Half
Meatloaf.
a century. God, I'm old.
We're back with the rest of this show. We'll wrap it up and get you set for tomorrow's Wednesday program that's jam-packed as well.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.